Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya
Hare Krishna. Welcome to this Gita Yoga Center. Today we have a very special devotee, His Holiness Vikramnath Narasimha Maharaj. How many of you know this one? Maharaj 10 years back came to our temple. That our Garbhagriha was constructed. That time Maharaj was the first the brick we Garbhagriha Maharaj laid the first. Maharaj is Srila Prabhupada disciple. It's very difficult to see Srila Prabhupada disciples because very few of them are known to be preaching. So Maharaj is Srila Prabhupada disciple. It's mentioned if we serve Maharaj, it is almost equal to serving, not almost, it's equal to serving Srila Prabhupada. So we have got the wonderful chance to serve Maharaj. Maharaj is doing preaching in Thailand and China. This part only Maharaj is doing preaching. How many of you know? I don't know. This is a very toughest place, to preach. There Maharaj is doing preaching. So Maharaj so mercifully extended Maharaj's journey to be with us. So please welcome Maharaj by chanting 3 times Hare Krishna Mahamantra.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 Narayanam Namaskrityam
Narayanam Namaskrityam
Naram Chaiva Narottamam
Naram Chaiva Narottamam
Devim Sarasatim Vyasam
Devim Saraswati Vyasam
Tato Jayamudiraya
Tato Jayamudiraya
Nishtaprayeshu Pavakreshu
Nashtaraya Pavakreshu
Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya
Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya
Bhagavati uttama shloke
Bhagavati uttama shloke
bhakti bhavati nashtati.
Bhakti bhavati nashtati.
So thank you very much for giving me an opportunity to address you this evening. I know you're busy people, and I can see Trivandrum's a busy place from the traffic coming here tonight. There's a lot of congestion on these roads here. India is not very quick in building highways, it seems. In China they do everything super fast. It's a little different. China and India. Difference is in discipline. In China there's a lot of discipline, but no faith in God. In India there's not much discipline, but there's a lot of faith in God. So that's good. It makes a difference to believe in God. We're trying, our Krishna consciousness movement is dedicated to preaching this mission of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu throughout the world, to deliver the chanting of the holy names. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had predicted every town and village there would be the chanting of the holy names. So we're working in this way, trying to go everywhere. Srila Prabhupada set the foundation for the Krishna consciousness movement by going to the Western world and then sending the devotees around to different parts of the globe to establish Krishna conscious centers. So I had the good fortune to contact the Krishna consciousness movement when I was a young man in the UK. I got a book. First of all, I saw a Back to Godhead magazine, and then the devotees, they became quite well known in the UK because they had released the recording of the Hare Krishna mantra, which was a big success. Mainly because of the relationship with George Harrison, who was world famous. So that recording, that was something which I picked up on immediately, and I was chanting, I was singing the mantra without any real knowledge about what the mantra meant, or even I didn't really know anything about Krishna. But later on, I had the opportunity to purchase a Krishna book. And reading the Krishna book, then it gave me greater interest, and I understood I have to go and visit our center in London. We had a center there, and I was able to start attending the programs there. And this way I had the opportunity to become involved with the Krishna consciousness movement. And after some time, Srila Prabhupada also came there personally, and at that time he gave initiation to a number of us. So like Prabhupada encouraged us, he said, you've already had many lives, you've taken birth many times. Like in the Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna was telling to Arjuna, because Arjuna was puzzled, how could Krishna speak the Bhagavad Gita to the sun god? The sun god is so much senior by birth. But Lord Krishna explained to him, many, many births both you and I have had. I can remember all of them, but you cannot. So Srila Prabhupada told us also, he said, you've had many births in this material world. He said, now you should give this one life to Krishna. Use it for the service of Krishna. That will not be a waste. But everything else, all your endeavors in the material world, they're finished with the body. All your education, all your qualifications, your bank balance, your properties, your reputation. It's all finished with the body. It's all temporary. But if you do some service for Lord Krishna, that is eternal benefit. And Srila Prabhupada explained we have a spiritual bank account. And we're very worried about our material bank account, and we often don't think about our spiritual bank account. We have a spiritual bank account, and that is in terms of our devotional activities. When we take part in different devotional activities, this is all credits into our spiritual bank account. And that spiritual bank account is never lost. It's always with us. So Lord Krishna explains this, of course, in the Bhagavad Gita. He says, Niha Vikramana Shosti Pratyavidno Navidite Swapam Api Asya Dharmasya Trayate Mahato Paya. Lord Krishna is telling Arjuna that in this endeavor there is no loss or diminution, and a little advancement made saves you from the greatest danger. And Prabhupada explained what that danger is. The danger is that having achieved the human form of life, you may degrade into the lower species of life. Bhagavad Gita tells us, if you die in the mode of ignorance, then you take birth in the lower species of life. You take birth in the mode of ignorance. Many people die in the mode of ignorance. I see it in India, they have a lot of signs telling, don't drink and drive. Meaning a lot of people are doing that. If they're putting warnings to people not to do this, it means it's a problem. Many people are doing it. They're drinking. What are they? They're not just drinking Pepsi, but drinking some kind of alcohol. And they're getting intoxicated, and they're driving, and in this way they risk their life, and many people die. Not only do they die from drinking, nowadays I hear that in this particular state, in Kerala, there's severe problems with drug addiction, especially among the young people, the students, that they get involved with taking drugs. Because growing up in the world today is a challenge. It's very difficult to grow up in this world today. There's so much stress, there's so much competition, and people are endeavoring to do well, so they go and study, as all of you studied in the past. There are so many other people studying, and maybe many of you are still studying, and so there's constant stress for performance, that you have to do well, you have to succeed. And this drives people towards drugs and alcohol and these kind of things, which make it very dangerous for people. Because they have the human body, but they're using it for activities of sense gratification. They're trying to enjoy. They feel like when they're intoxicated or when they're under drugs, they feel that they're free from the stress, and they forget the anxiety of the world. But of course it's still there. It's all there. The problems are always there, but people try to forget them. They don't know how to cope. I was in Singapore, it was some time ago now. I was in Singapore, and I was staying with one family. They were South Indian, the Tamil family. So their daughter came home from school, She was just a young girl. She was about 6 years old. And the teacher had given them a booklet. And the booklet was helping your child cope with stress. A 6-year-old child going to school, and they were worried about the children coping with stress. So this is the situation in the world today. People grow up with constant stress. Stress means anxiety. This world, of course, this is Kun, right? We want to go to Vaikun. We want to get out of all this anxiety. We want to actually enter into the spiritual realm and enjoy the atmosphere where there is no anxiety. How to do that? How to transcend the material world? So Krishna consciousness is this process. It's the process of awakening ourselves to the real purpose of life. The purpose of life is often forgotten. And nowadays people, not everyone is so pious and religious. You know, we used to speak of India as Punya Bhumi, but we don't hear that anymore. Very rare. Everywhere we see people are taking meat, drinking, smoking, so many sinful activities going on everywhere. It's unusual to find people are vegetarian. It used to be everyone was a vegetarian, but now it's unusual someone is vegetarian. We're trying to bring back the forgotten, the lost culture. Krishna consciousness is meant to help us to appreciate the real culture of life. That culture which is there, which was there originally on the planet, which has been forgotten over the course of time. So Srila Prabhupada wanted very much to introduce Krishna consciousness not only in the Western world, but also in his own country, in India. And Srila Prabhupada, after after getting some followers in the Western country, he brought them back to India. And they began preaching, having programs around India. And they opened different centers. So in this way, gradually we got center also in Chennai, and from Chennai people came to Trivandrum, and now from Trivandrum the devotees are going out, reaching out to the different suburbs, because Trivandrum has expanded, it's become such a big city now. It never used to be so big, but now drive for miles, you're still in Trivandrum. So, like everything else, people are moving into the cities. They're moving away from the countryside into the cities. And in the cities, they easily become affected by the materialistic atmosphere. The atmosphere of enjoying the senses. Everywhere, huge billboards, signs enticing people that you need this motorbike, you need this dress, you need so many different things they're promoting just to bewilder the minds of the people. So it's very difficult to grow up in such a materialistic environment. We need to have some shelter. We need to have some spiritual education. And that is lacking. All over the world it's lacking. Some devotees I know, they were studying in Australia, in Canberra. Canberra is the capital of Australia. and they have the National University of Australia, NUA, there in Canberra. And so they were having a Krishna Yoga club there for for people to come. But they told me, they said, after our Krishna Yoga club, the next group to come in and use the same place was the Atheist Society. So it's a university, supposed to be premier institute, and they have an atheist society. People are so godless. You know, atheism is so prominent in the Kali Yuga. People have no faith anymore in God. And if they have no religion, then we just simply become animals. The difference between the human and the animal. The animals, they're also eating and sleeping and mating and defending. And if we use the human life simply for these four activities, eating, sleeping, mating, and defending, then we're on the level of the animals. We say Dvipada Pashu, two-legged animals. Human life, there must be religion. And what is that religion? That is explained to us in scriptures. We have to hear from scriptures. Therefore, one of the primary activities of our Krishna consciousness movement is to distribute literature explaining the teachings, the message of the Shastras. Srila Prabhupada worked very hard writing and then making sure the books were published, and then he encouraged us to distribute them. But not only did he encourage us to distribute them, but he encouraged us to also study them ourselves. Srila Prabhupada wrote to one devotee, he told him, he said, he was in charge of a temple. It was actually in New York. And Prabhupada wrote to him, he said, encourage all the devotees to cram my purports. And so cramming, probably you know this term, cramming, you have an exam coming up tomorrow and you haven't prepared very well for it. So you stay up all night cramming to try to prepare yourself for the next morning's exam. So Srila Prabhupada encouraged the devotees, we should cram his purports, study them very intensely, and try to get an understanding of this teaching, which can certainly help us to make proper use of the human form of life. Modern materialistic life is based on four things, which were mentioned, and if you read the teachings of Queen Kunti in Srimad Bhagavatam, she describes in her prayers, she says, Janma Aishwarya Shruta Shraviya Edamana Madhapuma Naivadhati Abhidatum Vai Tvam Akinchana Gochara. Queen Kunti very nicely explains, she's saying to Lord Krishna, she said that you are very easy to know, but only for those who are materially exhausted. Those who are on the path of material progress cannot approach you with real feeling, with the real sincerity of purpose. So the path of material progress is based on these four things: Janma, Aishwarya, Shruta, and Shri. Janma. We want to be born. We want that our family should be very respectable, very high class, we say. We would like to be from a good family, a family with some position, respectability. And generally, what does it mean to be respectable? Oh, it means you're wealthy, you're rich. How did you get the money? Well, you did a lot of lying and cheating in business, made a lot of money. People think, oh, very successful man, right? The lowest character, but because he made a lot of money, people think, oh, he's very successful. This is how people think in this age. So, Janma Aishwarya, opulence, right? The young girl, young lady wants to get married, she wants to know, how much money have you got? What kind of car do you drive? Do you have your own house? I'm not going to stay with your parents. Like that, these kind of things. This is the thinking of the modern age. You see, Aishwarya, opulence. Janma, Aishwarya, Shruta. Shruta meaning education. People spend a fortune on education. One of the countries which I visit is Malaysia. So in Malaysia, there's a Tamil community there, and people spend a fortune. They will take loans from the bank. The loan you could buy a house, but they use it for the education for their children to go somewhere to get that education. Srila Prabhupada described the education industry because Prabhupada had been to America, USA, and he'd seen the universities there, and he said they are slaughterhouses. So even the person goes to the university, maybe of good character, moral and everything, very nice person. They go into the university, supposed to get higher education, and what happens? They develop the worst qualities. Drinking, gambling, illicit sex, drugs, all of these things, very prominent among the student class of people. That is student life, you might say. It's like that. And so, what is supposed to be education is just simply degradation, not really education, but you become like an animal. You become slow. You lose your good qualities in the association of so many other young people, because everyone is there and everyone is thinking how to enjoy. Where is sense gratification? And thinking like that, they go into so many sinful activities. So education, we need some education, but it has to be, you have to be very cautious, very careful. And then Shruta and Shri, bodily beauty. We see everywhere beauty parlors and this spa and that spa, and some people, they will spend all of their time and money going to the beauty parlors. One lady I know, she works in a beauty parlor, and she told me they have slimming courses for people, women like to be slim, and sometimes men also have to be slim. Some men are too fat, In America, you often get these men, big fat men, they want to lose weight. And they have things, and they have the program, you can do it, you can lose weight. So similarly, ladies also, even the ladies that they're already thin, they're not very fat anyway, but they say, I have to lose weight. And they'll spend so much money for these things. And so we see everywhere, the shops are there for the skin, for the hair and the skin and the nails. And in this way, people want to make the body, their idea is to make the body more attractive. And why do we want to make the body more attractive? That I will enjoy more the material world. But the body is just a dress. We have to understand the nature of the real person. That the body is just, as Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, Vashamsi Janani Yata Vihaya Navani Krinati Naroparani Tata Varya Vihaya Janani Anyani Samyati Navani Dehi. Just like we give up the old dress, we put on a new dress. In the same way we give up the old body, we get the new body. The body is just a covering of the soul. So people are just so much in the bodily concept of life. They're only thinking about the body, and they don't think about the soul, the real self within the body. The real pleasure is in the soul, not in the body, not in this temporary material body. In Srimad Bhagavatam, we have the example of Lord Rishabdev. Generally, we think of Rishabdev, he is one of the Jain Tirthankars, but he is mentioned in Srimad Bhagavatam as being an avatar of Lord Vishnu. So Rishabdev had 100 sons. Oldest of his sons was Bharat. He went on to become the emperor of the world. Anyway, Rishabdev, before he entered into the forest, he and his wife were they were taking vanaprastha, retired life. They retired, they renounced their opulence, and they were entering into the forest to prepare for the future, which is part of the Varnashram Dharma system. But before he did that, he gathered his 100 sons and he gave them very important instructions. And one of the verses which Srila Prabhupada liked to speak on a lot was a verse where Rishabdev tells his sons, he said, "My dear sons, don't try to enjoy the body just like animals, like the pig and the dog. They will enjoy by eating things like stew. Rather, instead of trying to enjoy in this gross manner, better you do some tapasya, do some austerities. And by doing some austerity, we can purify our existence. And with purification of our existence, we can go on to experience real pleasure. Real pleasure is within. So understand, there's different kinds of pleasure. There is the pleasure for the animals which eat stew. The pig gets happiness eating his obnoxious food. And he thinks, very nice, the pig's happy, right? There's a story about Indra, the king of heaven. He got cursed by Brihaspati, his guru, because Indra sometimes, sometimes he makes mistakes, he does things wrong. So Brihaspati cursed him. I curse you, become a pig. And he had to enter into the pig's body. So he'd been Indra, the king of heaven, and then he was put in the pig's body. And in the pig's body, he had to live in the pig house with the other pigs. So after some time, Brihaspati came and said, all right, now you've been a pig long enough, now you come back with me. But Indra said, oh, no, I'm happy here. Why I should come with you? He said, I'm happy here. Look, every day the farmer's bringing me big buckets of food. Pig food, Every day I'm enjoying. He said, look, I'm big and fat and healthy. And I have my wives here. And I have my pig children. I'm not going to leave them. Oh, Brihaspati said, oh, you want to stay here in your pig farm and the pig house? So, okay. So Brihaspati said, just wait, I'll go and bring the butcher. So the butcher came with a big knife. He said, where's that big fat pig? So then Indra understood, okay, take me with you. In this way. But try to understand that the point is that even we're in the most terrible situation, so miserable, but we're thinking, oh, I'm happy here, I'm comfortable, I'm enjoying. So this is the nature of the material world. Right? It's all miserable, temporary place, but we're so attached to it. We become so attached, we become so comfortable, and we make plans. I want to stay here forever. I will enjoy here. I'm happy here. I'm educated. I have a good job. How long will you keep the job for? Technology changes. Computer languages go out of date. They come up with a whole new technology. Everything is changed very quickly, overnight. You can be finished at any time. The whole material world is so temporary. Just like bubbles of foam in the sea. The bubbles appear, a few seconds later they're gone. So material life, our life in this material world is like that. But we're so attached. We're identifying so much with the material body. We don't want to give it up. But we have to. We are forced to accept the miseries of life. We don't like old age. We don't like disease. We don't want to die. But these things are inevitable. Whatever. What is the solution then? The solution is we have to become Krishna conscious, God conscious. We have to get out from this place. Don't just try to hang on and stay here forever. No, we had this one book. Did you read the book, Coming Back? Very small book, but simple, basic, explaining the science of reincarnation. But one thing I liked about it was the last chapter in the book. The last chapter was called Don't Come Back. The book was called Coming Back, but the last chapter said Don't come back. If we come back, means you failed. Just like if you're doing exams and you fail the exam, you have to repeat, right? You have to pay the course fees again. You have to do all the coursework. Yeah, it's such a headache if you ever have to fail the examination. So we pray that you didn't fail anything, that you don't fail anything. But this one exam is very important for us. The final exam at the end of life. We want to pass that exam, that we can remember Krishna. So, in South India, there's a famous Alwar, Kulashekar. Kulashekar Alwar, right? You know that those of you who are South Indian, you'll know Kulashekar. So he has a famous saying, Krishna Tvadiya Pada Pankaja Panjarantam. Ajaiva me vishatu rajasamana hamsa. Prana prayana kapaye kapavata pitaye kantavaro dhanavido smaranam kritaste. Kulashekhar's praying, he said, let me die now while I can chant the holy name. Because if I have to wait till the time of death, my throat will be choked up with mucus. I may not be able to chant. Just like you had COVID a few years ago. If you have COVID, Many people were on ventilators, right? They give them the ventilator to help them breathe. So if they leave the body with the ventilator, can't chant. How can you chant? Not very auspicious. Of course, if you've used your life, if you've dedicated your life to the service of the Lord, you've given your life to Him, that even though at the time of death you may die in some inauspicious situation, you're not able to remember Krishna, but Krishna remembers you. Krishna will not forget you. That is stated in the Puranas, that Krishna will take care of someone who has dedicated their life to Him. But still it's a risk. Why take that risk? So Kulashekar is praying, let me die now while I can still chant. When the swan of my mind, the Manasa Rajahamsa, the swan gets entangled in the lotus flowers. The swan likes to play with the lotus, and the stem of the lotus is wrapped around the neck of the swan. So in the same way, the devotee's mind is wrapped around the lotus feet of Lord Krishna by chanting His holy name. So, Kulashekar always prays, let me die like that. That's better. And that way, then you're sure. Antakalecha mamiva smaran mukva kalebram. One who remembers me at the end of life, he will come to me without fail. Lord Krishna promises this. He will deliver that person. So, we have to understand our mission in human life. Mission. We're thinking, make money, become rich, become famous. We had this one lady, she was in the movies, so she came to one of the spiritual masters and she, please bless me that I can be famous. How long you will be famous for, right? How long does fame last in the material world? It's a very temporary. We should be a little intelligent. What is the real value in life? What is there in this life? The temporary world of birth and death. We want to get out from this place. So Lord Krishna has come to invite all of us. Finish up our business in this place and go back to the real home. Prabhupada's magazines go back to Godhead, indicating that we're all originally Krishna conscious, but we've fallen into this material world. Why? Forgetting Krishna. We've forgotten Krishna since time immemorial. Now we've been given a chance to again revive our consciousness of Krishna. And that can take us out of this world. And one who goes back to Krishna will never want to come back to this place. One who has achieved Maya Bodhi will never come back here. We should understand the real mission of human life. That is success. Not just making a lot of money, being rich, being famous, having power. All of these things finished very easily with the body. But whatever we do for Krishna, whatever service we've done, that is of eternal benefit. So Srila Prabhupada prayed that he could give a better life for other people. That is the thinking of the devotee. They don't worry so much about their own self, but they think about others, how to benefit others. Prahlad Maharaj also prayed in a similar way. He prayed to Lord Nrsingadev that I'm not worried about myself. He said, wherever I go, I can chant and sing the glories of the Lord. but I'm concerned with love for those people who are lost in the material world, who are simply planning, trying to enjoy the temporary pleasures of the life. He said, I am concerned with love for them, to help them, to bring them out of that condition, and to bring them to the real consciousness of life, to understand our eternal position as the servants of Krishna. So that is Dharma, understanding our nature, our spiritual nature. So Krishna consciousness is very easy, it's not difficult, it's very simple. Just simply have to chant the Maha Mantra, very easy mantra. You have to chant, and we have to also try to understand the teachings of the scriptures. So hearing regularly, associating with devotees is certainly very helpful for us. So it's very good that you're coming together here in this place. Certainly, if you have to go through all of that traffic to go to our temple, it would be quite a trauma. But you have a place here, you can gather here, you can meet here, and here you can discuss the topics of Krishna. That is the real business of devotees. That is how we practice Krishna consciousness. Macchita Bhagavapana Bodayantas Paraspara Katayantas Chamamdityam Tushyanti Cha Ramanti. The thoughts of my devotees dwell in me. Their lives are surrendered unto me, and they derive great satisfaction and bliss by enlightening one another in conversing. So we need to have that opportunity, that association. Of course, we have it on Zoom. We have Zoom classes regularly, and I'm sure you all sometimes listen to the classes on the internet. You can take part. You can even have Mongol Arti. You can be in your own room. You can be even laying in bed, and you could watch Mongol Arti. Have that opportunity, of course. It's best if we get up and come and attend the Mongol Arti, but still, that these opportunities are there with the grace of technology. So we want to take advantage of technology to become Krishna conscious. Srila Prabhupada said, we're not against technology. We want to use everything for the service of Krishna. Okay, so are there any questions? Anybody have any doubts? Yes?
Krishna Maharaj. Sometimes it feels like this material world survival itself is very hard. So, like just to make money and survive, like take care of the family, we have to put so much of effort. So it looks like our consciousness is completely there. And even though we are chanting, we are trying to read. Most of the time, we are thinking about the work or some other things. So how to properly train ourselves to be Krishna conscious?
Yes, that is what I'm speaking about this evening. I'm encouraging you that you must associate with devotees and discuss the topics of Krishna. And that will help you to overcome this tendency to always be thinking about economic development, how to make money, right? They say money is sweeter than honey, but Krishna is sweeter than honey. You see, this money is not the real problem. We shouldn't be too much, externally, maybe for the sake of your wife or family. Yes, I have to make money. Yes, and when you're in the office, yes, we have to work hard. We have to push. Like you can put on a front, but in your heart, you should always be thinking, when will I be able to sit and chant the holy name? Let me just simply read some Srimad Bhagavatam and take shelter of the divine wisdom. So externally, you have to put on the act, you have to play the part like other people, but internally, keep ourselves focused on Krishna. And so my real goal is to go to Krishna, to be with, to develop my Krishna consciousness. Well, yeah. Money, everybody wants money. Does everybody get money? Everybody, people working very hard, does it mean they make more money? No. Some people have it, some people don't. Some people get the money very easily, and some people they don't. Don't worry about it. Money comes or money doesn't come. Oh, it's Krishna's plan. Just like Kulaveka Sridhar, he was not a rich man, right? Very poor. And Lord Chaitanya wanted to bless him. No, I don't want anything. I'm happy. The bird has his home in the nest, in the tree. And the king's in the palace. Everybody has their different karma. So according to our karma, we're getting our needs. Be happy, be satisfied with whatever is provided by the grace of Krishna. The real mission in life is simply to make progress back home, back to God, and become self-realized. So of course we may not openly speak about this to everyone. Not everybody has that kind of faith. But within our heart, we should think like that. Good. Whatever money we're getting, by the grace of Krishna. People who have a lot of money doesn't mean you're going to be happier. Some of the most unhappy people. There was a case, one of Prabhupada's disciples, Alfred Ford, the Ford Motor Company. So what happened, his mother died some years ago. So he brought his mother's ashes to India to put in the Ganga. And he said, one thing I learned from my mother? He said, I learned from her that money doesn't make me happy. Money doesn't make me happy. He said, my mother had so much money, she was never happy. So it's not money that's a problem. The problem is the mind, where your mind is focused. So we have to control the mind very carefully. We have to control the mind. It's not money that's going to solve your problem. Money creates a problem. We have to learn to be satisfied. That is important. One of the qualities of the Brahmana in the mode of goodness, satisfied. Rukmini sent a Brahmana to Dwarka, to Lord Krishna. She gave the Brahmana a letter to give to Krishna. Rukmini wants Krishna to come and kidnap her. So Lord Krishna received the Brahmana and he asked the Brahmana, how are you, my dear Brahmana friend? Are you fulfilling the duties of the Brahmana? Are you satisfied? That's important. You want to cultivate the mode of goodness, must be satisfied with whatever situation we're put in. We may be in distress, we may be in so many problems, but alright, it's the grace of Krishna. These problems are not eternal. They will finish, just like the winter and the summer seasons. They have a beginning and an end. So happiness and distress, they come together. Some distress is there, after some time there will be happiness. Just be patient, just be satisfied. Thank you, Krishna. We should thank Krishna for everything. But Krishna has put me in this situation. one of our devotees was distributing books. He was in the airport in Chicago. Very passionate place. You know, airports, people are very passionate. American people, very passionate. So anyway, he was distributing books there, and he offered a book to one man. And the man didn't take the book, instead he punched the devotee in the face. He threw a punch and hit him in the face. So what did the devotee do? The devotee, he could have retaliated, he could have hit him back. He was powerful, he was not a weak person. But he simply thought, thank you, Krishna. Thank you, Krishna. So, like that, there's a famous verse, maybe you all know from Srimad Bhagavatam. Tattenu kampam sushamikshmana panjana evatma kritam bhavatam rigvakta purvir bhagadan namaste jiveta yomukti pade sadaya bhav. Lord Brahma is praying. He said, one who accepts all adverse conditions, goes on hearing and chanting and associating with the devotees, who continues to engage in the service of the Lord, that person becomes qualified to become my unalloyed devotee. So Dayabak means inherit the property of the father. Just like your father may be a rich man, right? Your father is a rich man. What do you need to do to get his money?
Nothing.
Huh?
Nothing.
You have to stay alive. Like your father died, right? Once your father dies, you'll get his money. Right? The same way, you want to stay alive in Krishna consciousness. Even though things get tough, even though the going gets tough, problems come and so many difficult, but you don't give up, you keep going. Then that way, this is the way you become qualified to go back to God. We have to have that kind of determination. It's important for us. We want to become Krishna conscious. We have to show Krishna that we're ready to tolerate all the difficulties. We'll go on. Nothing is going to stop me from my chanting and from my worship of Krishna. Then when you have that conviction, then you can go back to God. Yes?
How can become a pure devotee? Question is how I can become a pure devotee, because always facing a lot of responsibilities, problems, and it's like floating in the surface. It's so difficult to go that deep into my question is how I can become a pure devotee.
How you can become a pure devotee. Yes, well, the Prabhupada explains, the devotees ask Prabhupada, that are there any other pure devotees on the planet besides you, Prabhupada? And Prabhupada said, how many people do we have in our society? And so at that time, there was maybe a 1,000 devotees. So Prabhupada said, then there are at least that many pure devotees. The pure devotees mean follow 4 principles, chant 16 rounds. That is pure devotion. If you're doing these things every day, you're pure devotee. Sometimes Prabhupada will say devotees are all Mahatmas. They're all great souls. Because they follow the principles. No meat, fish and eggs, no intoxication, no gambling, no illicit connection. And every day chanting the Maha Mantra. So this is pure devotion. There are different levels of pure devotees. Doesn't mean you're like Vyasadeva, doesn't mean you're like Narada Muni or anything, but still you're pure devotee. There's somebody strictly following the principle, they're not doing anything sinful. That is pure devotion.
Maharaji, when we go to the religious places like Mayapur, Vrindavan or so, we get into the devotional feeling. The rate of devotional feeling is very high. We feel that we are able to do better progress. The moment we return back to our home and get into our normal routine, that progress is subsiding. Though we try our level best, the rate of progress is very slow. How to make it faster?
Well, go and stay there. Go and stay in the holy place. Right? If you're feeling so inspired in the holy places, then go and live there. We have many people there who have retired. They were in the Middle East and they became devotees there, and then they come back, come to Mayapur, and they take up service there in Mayapur. Some are in Vrindavan, some are in Mayapur. They live there and do service there for Krishna and dedicate their life. But you say you want to come home, you come home, okay, but you have to remember, wherever you have to see Krishna's also there. Think of your home as a holy place. Not that you have to think, my home, now I'm back in my home. You think that my house is Krishna's house. That Krishna's there, that he's the proprietor. And I'm living here, I'm the servant for Krishna. As Srila Prabhupada went to America, Srila Prabhupada said, I'm always in Vrindavan because I'm always thinking of Krishna. So if you're always thinking of Krishna, then your home is the holy place. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu took sannyas and then he wanted to go to Vrindavan. And what happened was Lord Nityananda tricked him and brought him to Shantipur. They saw the Ganga and Lord Nityananda said, yes, it's the Yamuna. And Lord Chaitanya was coming, thinking he was going to Vrindavan, and Advaita Acharya appeared. And Lord Chaitanya was surprised. He said, oh, Advaita Acharya, how did you get here in Vrindavan? And Advaita Acharya said to Lord Chaitanya, said, wherever you are, my Lord, that is Vrindavan. So, if you're Krishna conscious, that wherever you are, it can be Vrindavan. Maharaj Yudhisthira came back to Hastinapur. No, it was Vidura. Vidura had been driven out from by Duryodhana, and he went and visited holy places for many years. Then Dhritarashtra was near to death. So Vidura came back. He wanted to deliver Dhritarashtra. All the sons of Dhritarashtra had been killed in the Kurukshetra war, and Dhritarashtra was living at home with the Pandavas. So Vidura came back. He wanted to preach to Dhritarashtra to get him out of the home. But when Vidura came there to the home, he was greeted by Maharaj Yudhisthira. And Maharaj Yudhisthira told Vidura, he said, you are the personification of the holy places because you carry the Lord in your heart. So wherever you go, you make that place a holy place. It's the presence of the devotees that make a place holy. So if you are in Krishna consciousness, your home will also be a holy place, right? Chanting the holy name, worshipping Krishna, everything you cook, offer it on the altar to the deities. And like always having spiritual sound vibrations, playing the kirtan and the pravachan of the devotee. This way your home is not different from the spiritual world. So it may take some effort, but you can do it. You can make your home a holy place. You can be Krishna conscious. You don't need to leave the home. Bhakti Vinod Thakur says, Yedina Grihi Bhajana Dekhe Grihiti Golokabaya. He said, when I am worshipping the deity in my home becomes Goloka. But if you're like Hiranyakashipu, right? Then Prahlad Maharaj told Hiranyakashipu, Griha Andakupam. He said the home is a blind well. He said better you go to the forest. But now go to the forest. Because your home is just there for sense gratification. You know, if you spend your time watching movies, Bollywood movies, in front of the television all the time, then of course, you know, it's Griha Andakupam. You don't want to be in that situation. You want to make your home a spiritual place. Krishna conscious activities. You don't need to go out from the home, but we need to purify the consciousness. Hare Krishna. Yes, any other questions? Anyone?